All right, we're ready to begin. All right, so welcome to the 2021-2022 Thomas Hart Benton Elementary Title I Annual Information Meeting. This is something that is required by federal funds to make sure that we do this every single year in order for us to continue to receive these federal funds, which helps us out in leveling the playing field for so many of our students and families. Let me jump in. So what is Title I? I just spoke to you about how it's a federally funded program to provide all children the opportunity to receive a fair, equitable, and high quality education to close the achievement gaps. So try to think about the things that may exist in a more affluent community where the people living amongst the community tends to be heavily dominated by politicians or lawyers or doctors. You can kind of get the sense that they have enough money at their exposure to significantly heighten the experience and quality of resources that are available to their students. We don't feel like, well, federally, we don't feel like that is fair to some of our communities that don't have as much as the means to those financial opportunities. So Title I is a way that we level that playing field. And so we utilize the funds that Title I gives us to really address the issues that you say you want addressed here at Thomas Hart Benton Elementary. And so the goal is to have as many parents a part of this process every single year so that we're spending our money wisely on things that not only have a direct impact on your students, but also have a direct impact on your community at large as well. And even you and your quality of experience with your students at home. So for context to anything regarding Title I this year, I'm going to be your primary contact for all things revolving Title I events, Title I funds, Title I resources. So feel free to make sure you have, by the end of this presentation, my email address so you can reach out to me at any moment. So what does Title I look like? Well, specifically at Thomas Hart Benton, our Title I looks a little different this year than in years past. We have been strategically trying to utilize our funds in a way that gives us an opportunity to enhance the quality of instruction that our students are receiving. So one of those things that we have done newly this year is we have added a building coach. So for any of you that have been around here for a couple of years, you're probably familiar with Ms. Dolselek. She has now shifted from a teacher classroom position to a building coach position to where she goes around and she supports all teachers throughout the entire building. Her duties could look anything from assisting with co-teaching of a lesson, sitting down and doing a small group intervention with students. She could be doing quick assessments with students. She could even push in to do a lesson on her own on a particular concept. And then she's also here to support teachers that are needing growth and development professionally. So that way we are really driving the quality of instruction that takes place here at Thomas Hart Benton Elementary. In addition, you're familiar with the family school liaison role and all the supports and services that we have that come along with that. We have been very fortunate to have about 4 or 5 people tag teaming our family school liaison position as we search for a new person that we hope to take over here soon as we move into the month of October. So for many of you that have relied on that resource, we will have a new face taking over, and I'm excited about the opportunity that she will have to really embark and make a difference in our community. Of course, we still have our paraprofessionals that support in the classroom, but more importantly, this year we have something called a learning coach. Now I have 4 open positions for learning coach. I'm trying to hire one right now. I still have 3 other ones available. So we're really tapping in and trying to figure out what are there some retired teachers out there that are looking just for a few hours to busy themselves up in a school working with kids on reading interventions or possibly math interventions. And so if you know anybody that's retired from teaching and would be a good fit to push into our building for about 550 hours on the school year, definitely reach out to me and let me know, as our applicant pool is getting very slim on who's available to interview. I definitely want all 4 positions full, but at this moment, we're only in the process of filling 1 and there's 3 more open. So that is something that I definitely want us to be able to take advantage of with the funds that we have available for it. Of course, we have paraprofessionals that support in the classroom. And then more importantly, we have professional development that's taking place for our teachers on a weekly basis. When I say weekly basis, it's taking place not only on Wednesdays after school, but during our grade level collaborations on Thursdays as well. So your kids' teachers are getting a wealth of professional development this year. And I'm gonna talk to you about what areas those are here shortly. Title I also helps students do better in school and feel better about themselves by being able to provide resources and tools that really connect them to their learning better. For teachers, it helps understand the needs of our students and our parents within the community so that they can better support and better provide guidance when it's deemed appropriate. And then for parents, it helps you understand your child and what they need to do to become more involved or to better their education. So whether that be resources we send home, resources we let you check out and then bring back, whatever the case may be, our goal is to support you in the home environment to the best of our abilities and make sure that you're, building up strong and healthy kids as well within your realm. At some point, you should have seen this compact come home. If you have not, please get in contact with your child's teacher so that we can get one home to you to get signed. I've already signed this, as well as the classroom teachers. And all we need is a signature from you and your student, really making sure that they meet these goals or are committed to these goals. Federally funded events really want to make sure that, or federally funded programs really want to make sure that there's true buy-in. And the way we show buy-in is we have these compact forms filled out. And so with these compacts, that I have to turn these in. So completion and how many of our families actually do it does matter when it comes to the continual pouring of funds into our schools. So if you need assistance with that, let me know. Here are some of the curriculum resources that we are utilizing this year that are new. So many of you that have attended these before in the past, you're probably more familiar with some of the old resources, but now in math, we are using a program called Reveal. Reveal Math has kind of upped the game to be a little bit more 21st century in some of the things that your students can use to see if we can align them to be more job preparing, job readiness type activities that they do on the computer. Now, those of you that are hesitant and pause about computer, I'm very old school. I still believe a good pencil and paper gets the job done effectively. The goal is to just make sure that access to technology and ability to use technology is not a barrier for our students. In addition, we've purchased a new curriculum resource called Hegarty that really focuses on phonemic awareness. In the district, we have identified 5 reading components that we believe are essential, and phonological awareness is one where we had an opportunity to grow. And we feel like this Hegarty resource not only really helps prepare our kindergarten and first graders appropriately, but it will help us bridge the gap for our 3rd and 5th grade students who make it all the way there and still have some of those little nuances missing that really support and build strong readers. We've been really locking in that 1 times 1 definitely equals 1, but 1 times 0 is certainly 0. And so if you have one component, but you're missing the other, it will never translate into reading comprehension. And so our ultimate goal is to build healthy readers and adequate, affluent individuals for our community. And then lastly, we have really partnered with a company called Letters and their resources and stuff that they've developed that will help us not only focus in on our curriculum and what we teach, but really drill down into like mouth positioning when it comes to when kids enunciate and say words. I really never paid a whole lot of attention to certain sounds that I say until they brought this program around that, a lot of the sounds that we produce in the English language are very silent. And so it can be confusing for kids when you're making the H sound, and you could try this yourself where you're at. If you make do you notice any vibrations in your voice when you make that H sound? And that could be the difference, because I could say something like hair, but the vibrations of what you hear are after the silent H. And so just some of those things are connecting pieces that our kids have started to learn that, hey, this was the gap for me understanding how to say certain words appropriately, or maybe even spell those words correctly, because maybe my tongue wasn't in the proper position back at the top of my roof of my mouth or towards the teeth. And so your teachers are really digging in with your students to be more hyper-focused of that. As your kids are coming home, ask them questions about their mouth positioning and what they've been learning with sounds and producing words. You'll be really amazed how much they've been able to retain from those lessons. The assessments that we give here in the district are still the same as in years prior. We've got the fast bridge system where we do A reading and A math, which is our screening tool. It's not the one that truly defines what your kid is totally capable of, but it screens enough for us to be able to see, hey, there might be an issue here that we need to drill in and focus on. We also give unit assessments through our DNA assessment that is also under that fast bridge data system. Everything is pouring into the same system, so that way we're only looking at one place to drive into those data focuses: reading, math, science, and social studies. And this year we've adopted the CBMs, which is a fluency. Those of you that have been in school in the years past, you used to have a teacher sit down with you and say, all right, I'm going to have you read this passage. When I tell you to go ahead and start reading until I tell you to stop. It's that fluency passage, because we realize reading rate and prosody is very important in your kids' comprehension and their ability to feel successful at reading. Most kids don't like reading if their reading rate tends to be a little bit slower than what is deemed normalcy. But I mean, how do you really truly define normalcy? We've had a lot of kids over the years who have been slow readers but comprehend just as well as anybody who reads a little bit quicker. So we try not to get too caught up in there, but we also don't want them to be at a disadvantage of not being able to finish the time tests in their futures for tests like the ACT, SATs, and college-bound type activities that require them to do assessments in a certain amount of time. We want the reading rate to be able to support the comprehension. Lastly, the Missouri Assessment Program MAP scores will be coming out for those of you that have MAP grade level students. You'll be able to see those results coming out at Parent Teacher Conference as we prepare those. I pick up the packet and information for your students this week. And so I'll be getting my secretaries on board with getting that stuff acclimated appropriately in time for your teachers to be passing that out to you for your scheduled meeting. If you're going to be meeting via Zoom, then we can make sure we send it home in the child's backpack so that you have an opportunity to review it and ask questions in those meetings. For parent communication, there's a two-way process between what we communicate and what you communicate. So we'll talk to you through Seesaw. For many of you probably got access to this particular Zoom through Seesaw, but I also use School Messenger, which populates automatic emails for me. It'll populate voice messages for me to send out to you all. And even those of you that have opted in, it can send a text message option there. So I always try to make sure I get ahead of providing you the information you need to know as events are coming up, not only just weeks in advance, but even the day before, the day of. Social media, we have a presence there via Facebook. We have not found a strong interest level at the Twitter or Instagram realm, but if you feel like Twitter and Instagram is an area where we can improve and start pushing some of our messages out there too, we'll definitely be on board with getting that accomplished. But we definitely want to make sure you're getting a good look inside of what we're doing here at Thomas Hart Benton. Also continue to look for the marquees to be updated on a monthly basis. I will try to make sure that whatever month that we're in, all those different events that take place in it are things that we're rotating in for your updated approval on both sides. Also, we encourage you to communicate with your teachers, your student's teacher. Make sure that you're spending time and communicating with them on a routinely basis in whichever manner works best for you. If you haven't communicated to your teacher, if emails are preferred or phone calls are preferred, text messages are preferred, whatever the case may be that the teacher is comfortable with doing or Seesaw, definitely let them know so that way we can properly be in touch. Parent engagement. So there's a parent right to know or complaints. If there's anything that's going on that really truly needs to be at my knowledge base and that needs to be brought to my attention, make sure you give a call to the front office. You can request paper copies of these different documents at any given time. So just, show your ID when you press the button for the doorbell, and then we'll get you in here and provide you whatever documentation you're looking for. You can also email me as well, and I follow up on those pretty routinely. As far as the upcoming school year, as we get through this year, at some point, I'm going to be looking towards developing the title plan for next year. I really would love those that are in attendance today to be a part of that process and helping us determine what our school needs are. In this particular slide, I've also provided a link to our calendar of events. I'm going to share this to the Seesaw after this meeting, so that way, for many of you looking to see what type of events are coming up and what type of things that we're trying to do, you can kind of get a good realm of understanding of where we're going with this year. And then I'll also be adding things as we find out, like, hey, we can do this. Things are opening up. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull this off. So be looking for that to be posted in Seesaw today, and then have it shared somewhere where you can get to it as easily as possible. My goal is to repost this on a monthly basis and even attach it to school newsletters. Ways to support your child. Daily attendance is one of the most important things. I don't think we understand how far a kid can get behind when they're missing 1 or 2 days a month. Those months and those days add up very quickly. So if your kid is on pace to miss 2 days a month for the school year, by the third month, they've missed 6 school days. That's 6 lessons. And I got to tell you that teachers don't really have enough time to go back and reteach lessons in the way that you think. State standards are requiring us to cover a lot more than in years or decades past. And so we really hold teachers to that candle of that fire to get as much done as they can within the school year. When your kids are missing, it makes it really tough for them to weave back and reteach those lessons. And so sometimes there's just certain lessons your kids won't be retaught if they're missing chronically like that. So just keep those things in mind, keep them to a minimal. I know things happen in life that keep you away. Right now, quarantines are things that keep kids away for a longer period of times, but our teachers are doing a great job of putting together packets that give kids opportunities to continue to keep their minds sharp and focused on material that's been covered recently. We'll also use Seesaw as an opportunity to keep kids engaged as well. So be looking for us to grow and develop in our ability to provide quality instruction through those as well. Make sure you're talking with your child about what they've learned at school every day. That's very vital and important for that to transfer from the short-term memory process and shift over to long-term. The more your kids can talk about what they're learning, the more likely it is to get to the long-term registry. Short-term typically only keeps about 7 spaces. So if you think about it, there's so many things a kid does after school that's knocking those things out of the short-term memory and therefore making it hard for them to remember it all. But if you can ask questions about how their day went, those things that are still locked in there, they can start transferring those into long-term memory, just based off of your questions about what did you learn today? And then of course, talk about how school work and what they're doing correlates to their everyday life. Talk to your kids about how what they're learning impacts decisions that you're making as a parent for their livelihood, whether that's paying the bills or that's taking time to read the bills to understand what they say and what they communicate, or when you're having to go to the grocery store, or you're having to go out and communicate with different clubs or organizations and resources for things that you're like, man, I have no idea how to do this. Like, where do I go to find this? You're really helping kids understand how to navigate, ask questions, and find resources really is an important skill in today's world. And we try to make sure we give them plenty of that in today's academic environment. Also, join the PTA. If you haven't joined PTA, please do so. We have plenty of flyers that are going around now. I'll be sure to post another one and how you can get signed up today on the Seesaw after this meeting as well. So just be sure that you're doing your part to really be invested. PTA is truly a way to make a true difference here at the school and make your voice be heard. So not only with Title I, but PTA really gives you that opportunity to work alongside teachers and get some really great things done for your students. And then be aware of your child's performances, attend parent-teacher conferences, attend curriculum nights. Now, curriculum night will not be a curriculum night in front. You'll have me talking about the different resources and curriculum that we're offering this year. And so I'll try to be brief with that message that is digestible, but also intentful enough that you can feel like, hey, I get it. I got a strong idea of what's being covered. So I gave you a brief synopsis. I go a little bit more in depth with that curriculum night slides when I push those out next month. Also, keep teachers informed regarding events and issues that may affect your child. If you're going on vacation, if you're going somewhere, if something's happened in the family to where, that's really bothering them. I know sometimes we're in a world right now where loss is frequent. People are losing people left and right. And how that impacts our children is very important. It's vital that you update the teachers so that way we are really using our resources well here at the school to wrap around your students appropriately. So who do I contact to become involved with my student school? I'm going to leave this here for those of you to be able to write this down. Obviously, if you want to get involved with the school in any way, shape, or form, contact me. You get a hold of me, email me, call the front office, ask for me. I may not be available by phone right away, but I do my best to follow up. I always tell my secretary to find opportunities in my calendar where I can follow up and make calls. And so she's done a really great job of putting those in on my calendar. And I've done a good job being able to meet those so far. So if you're needing to get a hold of me or needing to talk with me, definitely talk with the ladies up front. We also have Assistant Principal Molly Rohde, who is somebody that you can reach out to as well if I'm not available. I keep her in the know of what's going on with the school as much as possible. So that way, if I'm not available, she can step in and fulfill my questions and answers is just as effective. And then lastly, for those of you that have been with the school for a while, you know Miss Carrico. This year she's got the last name going by Lease. That's her maiden name, and so she's been going by that. So if somebody says Miss Lease, that's Miss Carrico for those of you that have been around here for years. But she's heavily involved with PTA, has been for years, and so she's a really great contact if you're like, hey, I'm trying to get involved with PTA. So feel free to reach out to her, and she'll definitely get you connected and make sure that your voice is heard here on all realms of the school. So that concludes my presentation today, and I did a marvelous job getting it done in 20 minutes like I aspired. So kudos to me. Actually, we're at 21 minutes, so maybe I was 40 seconds too long or something. But thank y'all for y'all time today. I'm going to turn the video off just in case there's anybody that is wanting to ask more pertinent questions that are related to